Hello and welcome to my latest career video. This career video features the great former light heavyweight champion battling Levinsky, lineal champion from 1916 to 1920. We will go through his career, the massive career, as you can see by his fight total approaching 300 fights in his career. So let us go to the first slide of his main opponents, battling Levinsky. Twice fought former champion Mike Glover, fighting 2 draws. He then had a 10 fight series, with fellow great light heavyweight Jack Dillon, scoring 2 wins with 6 losses and 2 draws from that 10 fight series. And then he also twice fought former coloured middleweight champion Eddie Palmer, scoring 1 win and 1 draw from those 2 fights. Next up is Bob Mohar, battling Levinsky, fights him twice, scoring 1 win and 1 loss. And then he 6 times loses from 6 fights against the great Harry Greb. Yes, Harry Greb was whipping the current light heavyweight champion time after time, but could not get that light heavyweight title. Next up, Jack Dempsey, of course. Jack Dempsey defeated Levinsky when he faced him, as did Georges Carpentier. Now, Levinsky did beat former light heavyweight champion Mike Mateague, before then also losing a fight, to the fighting Marine Gene Tunney. Next up is a 5 fight series with the great Leo Hook. Now battling Levinsky, scored 2 wins and suffered 3 losses from that 5 fight series. And he also fought another 4 fight series, another fight series, against the great Billy Misk, scoring 2 wins, 2 losses and no draws. Yeah, good morning, Martin. Yes, this is indeed a big one. Now, next up is Tommy Gibbons. Tommy Gibbons defeated battling Levinsky, as did young Striblin. Now, Eddie McGaughty comes next. Eddie McGaughty won at Best Middleweight Contenders in 1910s. Very good resume himself. I don't think I've covered him yet, but when I do, you'll see why. Very, very good fighter and former pound for pounder in my all-time rankings. Now, Levinsky fought him on 3 occasions, scoring 1 win with 2 losses and no draws. And to close out this first slide, Levinsky fought former heavyweight contender Charlie Weinert 4 times, scoring 1 win, 1 loss with 2 draws. So with the 10 fight series were Jack Dillon, the 6 fight series were Harry Greb, the 5 fight series were Hook, the 4 fight series were Misk. There's 15 opponents listed there, but way more fights than that on that slide. So, we're not done. Let's go to slide 2. So slide 2 begins with another heavyweight contender. Levinsky fought people pretty much from middleweight to heavyweight in terms of weight. Now, he defeated former top 3 heavyweight contender Jack Reno. He then lost, to 2 top 10 contenders, the first being Cuban Bobby Brown, who was rated a light heavyweight, and Otto von Porter. Next up, young Tommy Coleman, battling Levinsky, defeated him, and then he also defeated heavyweight contender Al Kubiak. Frank Mantell, twice fought battling Levinsky. Levinsky suffering a loss and a draw from those 2 fights. And he also twice lost to the Ghost of Joplin, Jeff Clark, from their 2 fight series. Next up, tough contender Dave Smith also defeats battling Levinsky. But then Levinsky starts to rebound, He twice fights Jack Twin Sullivan, scoring 1 win, 1 loss with no draws. And he has a 9 fight series with heavyweight Porky Dan Flynn, scoring 5 wins with no losses and 4 draws. 3 times from 3, he defeats heavyweight contender Fireman Jim Flynn. So Levinsky won all 3 times. Then he has a 6 fight series with heavyweight contender Jim Kofi, scoring 5 wins, no losses and 1 draw. Another heavyweight contender, you see, the thing is, Levinsky was a light heavyweight champion and fought many fights at light heavyweight. He also fought below light heavyweight in his own career as well. He titled at light heavyweight, but, was not always a light heavyweight. But the amount of heavyweights he fights is quite impressive. So when we think about other light heavyweight champions of modern era like Kovalev and Adonis Stevenson, Chad Dawson, how many heavyweights have they fought? Have they fought a career worth of heavyweight contenders in terms of fights? No, they haven't. This is why I always say, all due respect to these light heavyweight champions now, but the careers cannot be compared to a career like Levinsky. So Tony Ross is next, battling Levinsky, defeats him. He then has a 6 fight series with heavyweight contender Gunboat Smith, scoring 3 wins with 1 loss and 2 draws. And he closed out this second slide, with a win over former heavyweight contender Sandy Ferguson. So another slide, another massive fights on there, So we will now go to our third and final slide. Levinsky twice defeats Tom Cowler, okay, from 2 fights. He also beats heavyweight contender Bob DeVere before then fighting hard-punching heavyweight contender Bill K.O. Brennan, scoring 1 win, 1 loss and 2 draws. He then 6 times fights capable contender Clay Turner, scoring 5 wins with no losses and 1 draw. And Levinsky then twice fights Chuck Wiggins, scoring 1 win and 1 draw from those 2 fights. The final 2 names on here, the first is a trilogy of fights with capable fighter Jack Gagnon, where Levinsky scored 1 win with 2 losses and no draws, and then he twice loses to Carl Morris from 2 fights. So there, a massive fights there, okay? That totals 102 fights. Levinsky is in that club who score more than 100 fights in this particular set of breakdowns I do on main opponents. Now, Levinsky scored 44 wins with 39 losses and 19 draws. Now, when you think 12 of those losses alone are to 2 men, Jack Dillon and Harry Greb, when you consider... You know, Levinsky just mixed in company that modern fighters couldn't dream of, to be quite honest. You know, really what Levinsky did, it would be like Terence Crawford fighting Canelo 6 times, okay, fighting Sergei Kovalev, fighting Gennady Golovkin 8-10 times. You see, modern fighters don't have those careers. So, let us go on to the first of his stat slides. 102 fights, that's a massive total. So, on to his stats, okay. Battling Levinsky scored 30 knockouts, 19 in 3 rounds or less, and 5 in the first round. Now, he scored 0 KOs against champions, Hall of Famers, and pound-pounders, and he scored 0 KOs against rated fighters, albeit the ratings came in, you know, at the end of his career, so he didn't really fight a career against rated opponents. So in terms of rounds boxed, battling Levinsky has an insane total of 2,567 professional career rounds. Is that more career rounds than the entire pound-for-pound top 10 now? Probably. So in terms of title fight rounds, Levinsky fought a total of 111. He fought 236 rounds against champions, and he fought a total of 274 rounds against Hall of Famers. Now, Levinsky fought a total of 330 rounds against pound-for-pound fighters. Sorry about that delay. My dog was chewing the cushion. Now he's looking at me, knows I've sussed him. So yes, Levinsky fought 330 rounds against pound-for-pound fighters. Now, that is a crazy total, and when you look at the rounds against rated opponents, okay, Levinsky has severely reduced numbers. Levinsky's numbers in this category would have been staggeringly high. Like biblically high. But in his reduced numbers, he fought 167 rounds against top 10 fighters, 154 rounds against top 3 fighters, and 69 rounds against ring champions. Now, to give you an idea, you know, the 6 fights were Greb, the fights were Tunney, the fights were Gibbons, well, Gibbons were rated. The 10 fights he used were Jack Dillon. All those would have been rated in a rating era, as would many of the contenders that he fought, like Bill Brennan, on and on and on and on and on. So his numbers would have been astronomical. So, on to our next slide against champions. Now, Levinsky had 26 fights against champions with a losing record of 5 wins, 16 losses, 5 draws. And he beat 4 individual champions. They were Jack Dillon, Eddie Palmer, Bob Mohar and Mike Mateague. And Levinsky scored knockouts over 0 individual champions. So, on to pound-for-pound Hall of Fame slide, So, Hall of Famers. Levinsky has 30 fights against Hall of Famers, including 6 wins, 22 losses and 2 draws. He defeated 3 individual Hall of Famers. They were Leo Hook, Jack Dillon and Billy Misk, and he scored knockouts over 0 individual rated Hall of Famers. And when we look at the pound-for-pound slide for Levinsky, a massive 37 fights against pound-for-pounders, including 8 wins, 25 losses, 4 draws. Again, 12 of those defeats, half of his defeats there, were to Greb and Dillon alone. Now, he defeated 5 pound-for-pound rated fighters, including Leo Hook, Jack Dillon, Eddie McGaughty, Bob Mohar, and Billy Misk. And he scored knockouts over 0 pound-for-pound fighters individually. So, on we go to the rated opponent slide, a number that would be significantly reduced. You know, his minimum number would be 80 to 90. It's highly likely he would score way more than that in terms of top 10 fights, but he has to settle on his 18. Of course, a lot of the rated fights came later in his career. So he has a record of 3 wins, 13 losses, and 2 draws. And he has a total of 14 fights against top 3 fighters, including 3 wins, 11 losses, no draws. And he has 8 fights against ring champions. You know, what are all defeats? Again, the 10 fights for Jack Dillon would be ring champion fights in a rating era, because Dillon would have been the ring champion as the undisputed lineal champion. So yeah, again, his numbers are significantly reduced. It's one thing it's always hurt that I cannot produce rated information for all these guys. But like I say, I'm not doing Ring Magazine's job for them. You know, they've got the ratings. You know, they came around from Nat Fleischer. But I don't know why they haven't retrograded and rated the fighters before that. Got a panel together and done ratings before that. So we can kind of reflect and see who the contenders were and fully flesh out these guys' resumes properly. So Levinsky defeated 3 individual rated fighters. He scored knockouts over 0 rated fighters individually. So when we go on to the title fight slide, Levinsky had 11 world title fights. That included 4 wins, 5 losses, 2 draw. He made 4 title defences, and Levinsky scored 0 title fight KOs. Now, he lost his title, 1920, so he has no wins against top 10 fighters, top 3 fighters, or ring champions in title fights. He does have 1 win against a champion, 3 wins against Hall of Famers, and 3 wins against pound-for-pounders in title fights. And when we go to the final slide on Levinsky, the titles one slide, he captured the world light heavyweight title. Levinsky was also lineal light heavyweight champion of the world and undisputed light heavyweight champion of the world, despite during that time he was active champion, getting whipped by Harry Greb a number of occasions with relative ease. So there finishes the video on Levinsky. Had a massive career, over 100 major fights listed on his breakdown over 3 slides. There's other surprising fighters, like I've got a video ready for a fighter called Jock Malone, that many people would not be as familiar with, as well as all the other relatively more unknown fighters who people don't talk about. But some of these careers like Levinsky are insanely big. Now, Levinsky doesn't rate in my top 10 despite his career size, despite his level of opposition. Part of that reason is the win percentage against that top level opposition. To put it more basic, it's very complex actually, multiple criteria, but basically the winning elements against that top opposition is what drops him down further than some people may suspect. But he is an all-time great, and he is a worthy Hall of Famer and a former lineal undisputed champion. So there ends my latest video, Battling Levinsky. He'll join my light heavyweight playlist. More videos coming over the coming days, weeks, months and years as I pursue my goal of doing over 1,000 career videos. And there's going to be so many fighters who I've never covered before, including Jock Malone, who I remember being asked on my old channel, are you going to do a career video on one of my old blue screens? Are you going to do a career video on Jock Malone? And I said, not at this time. I'm kind of done with career videos now, but yeah, it's going to be different this time. Everybody's going to be covered virtually. So I will catch you later. Big shout out to Martin in chat. I'm the Boxing Librarian. I'm out for now.